Bust out your rifles. Hunting season is on us. Hey guys, what's up? Joe here from the Scruffy Fam. Hey, if you're new here, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Just really kind of helps us grow. Doesn't cost you anything and hits the algorithm to let us know we're here. So today, what I want to talk about is hunting season is upon us. You pull your rifle or shotgun out of the safe and you look at it and realize, might be time to upgrade that optic. And Labor Day weekend is a good time to do it because all kinds of sales are going on. So today as I record this, it is Labor Day. I'm going to try to get this out today. And there are a lot of major retailers putting their optics on sale in anticipation of hunting season. And when we look at all the optic options that are out there and you watch all the YouTube videos talking about them, it can get really confusing on which ones to purchase to put on your hunting rifle. Now I'm going to talk in generalities about hunting rifles today, not competition, not PRS, not NRL. I'm going to talk about straight up hunting optics. And we're going to talk about some classifications. We're going to use generalities. I'm not going to be talking about individual brands. We're going to talk about generalities of types. We're going to talk about first focal plane, second focal plane, exposed turrets, intended use, magnification, and personal preferences. Okay? So first up, what I want to talk about is the red dot. The red dot. This thing is a really great option if you have an AR, if you've got a 22, if you've got a shotgun that you plan to use for turkey. This is a really, really great option for any of those things you're not shooting past 50 yards, okay? These are great for 25 to 50 yards. A lot of people use these on ARs for short range, quick acquisition, shooting steel, because you don't have to be super accurate. Usually you can get these in 3 MOA or 6 MOA, and these things are not inherently accurate, but they'll get you on probably an 8-inch plate, maybe a 4-inch plate, 25 to 50 yards, depending on how accurate your firearm is. It's also really good to give you a better target box for hunting turkey because you have a better field of view. So red dots are great for intended applications of not shooting long distance. It can even be fun when you're hunting squirrels or rabbits when you're up close and personal, especially on a 22 where you're not looking to shoot something that's super far away. And if you're within that, sometimes you can be 10 feet away, having a red dot is really, really good to get a clear picture of what you're shooting at. And it's probably the easiest one to start teaching people to shoot with both eyes open. Red dot. From the red dot, we move into the LPVO, low power variable optic. So the red dots do not have any magnification. Usually you have to buy an additional piece that is a magnifier for the red dot, which I usually think is pretty entertaining when people buy a red dot and then they'll spend just the same amount of money or a little bit more to get a magnifier when you could have gotten LPVO that you can get illuminated that will do the exact same thing and a little bit better. So a low power variable optic, these are meant for firearms that aren't meant to be shot at a long range, okay? These are great for any of the straight wall cartridges that just don't have long range capabilities, like your 450 Bushmasters, your 350s, your 360s, 4570s, anything like that. A low power variable optic would be perfect. I've got a 7.62 by 39 that I have had this on and I've shot with it, and it is great for those intended purposes. When you don't have a very long way you're going to shoot, something like this is great. This one is a 1:6, which is a fairly good magnification. You can shoot out to 100, 150 yards with this fairly decently. These are very popular for ARs. When people want to be a little bit more accurate with an AR, they'll put this on instead of having the red dot. For the same reasons I just told you, you don't have to crank a magnification or buy a separate piece to add on to get zoom on your red dot when you have something like this. These are great for any rifle that doesn't need to shoot a long way. These are probably good out to, I would say, 100, 150, 200 yards is kind of stretching it, but you can get these with exposed turrets, you can get these with illumination, and there's different types of magnification you can get in these. The point is, it's got a big eye box so you can get decent magnification without washing out a target. This one just has a straight up reticle in it. See if you guys can see that. There we go. So nothing too gee whiz or fancy. Okay. Something like this, as I said, short range. You're not looking to shoot anything past 200 yards. This would be perfect. Some people are actually looking at these if they're hunting in tree stands and they're not shooting past 50, 75 yards. Having a throw lever like this that you can get on and you can just adjust your zoom and shoot. If you never hunt past 75 yards in your tree stand, might consider a low power variable optic. You can get a lot of options for a little bit of a price with something like this. Next, we have the quintessential hunting optic. Okay, it is a fixed turret. This one is a 4 to 12. Usually they come in 3x9. You mount this on top of your rifle. You go to the range, you sight it in, you adjust here for your focus. There's no parallax adjustment. There's no exposed turrets. This is a one and done. You go to the range, get your maximum point blank range with this. Go on to shoot anything from 25 to 275-ish yards, depending on your caliber. This is what most people are familiar with. And for, I would say, a gross majority, I would say over 90% of hunters don't need anything past this, okay? A gross majority do not need anything past this. But we buy into the hype. We like other things, so we'll talk about those too. This is a second focal plane, cap turret, moderate zoom rifle scope. This is perfect for most calibers and hunting applications that exist out there. If you only hunt once a year for deer camp, you don't need anything past something like this. Now there's different companies, different glass quality, different options. If you want to get illumination on something like this, it may not be a bad idea. I think all of my hunting rifles have illumination. This one doesn't have illumination. That's why it's not in any of my hunting rifles right now. Because of the early morning or late afternoon shots, I like to have illumination. It's a personal preference. This one, you can again see, is just crosshairs with hash marks. Nothing super special about this, but I would say over 90% of people that are hunting don't need anything past this. The really great thing with this is you take it to the range, you get it sighted in, you have your maximum point blank range. When it's time for hunting season, deer walks out in front of you, doesn't matter if it's 25 yards or 200 yards, you lift up, hold center, pull trigger, you're gonna hit within the 8-inch vitals of a deer, okay? This is what most people need, and these can range in price all over the place, but most common and probably most useful for any hunter is just your standard cap turret, moderate magnification, second focal plane hunting reticle. If you're hunting from a stand, you're hunting from a blind, if you're on public land where you just don't have long range stuff that you have to worry about, this is all you need. And last, target style, competition style optics. This is a 6 to 24 first focal plane, illuminated, parallax, all the things, okay? So this has all of the options that you could want for a competition style optic. So this intended use is shooting steel and shooting paper. Could I take this out to the field to hunt with? Yes, I could. Is it overkill? Absolutely. The magnification on this starts at 6. Most hunting ones start at 3. My LPVO caps out at 6. So 6 zoom sometimes is even too much for hunting. Okay, I would not use this for hunting. If I was going to take my 22 out hunting, I would honestly put that LPVO on here to go hunting with. I would not hunt with this. This is designed for target shooting and competition style shooting. It is a first focal plane, it has holdovers, it has exposed turrets for me to dial to, it has 0 stops on it. The reason I have 0 stops is I can turn fast and turn back. This is designed for competition. It is 6-24, first focal plane. See if you guys can see in there the reticle. It's gonna be hard to see on here because there you go. I'll see if I can crank up the magnification. Yeah, you'll see it gets smaller for you guys when I crank the magnification. There we go. Okay, so something like this is designed for target shooting, not hunting. Could you use it for hunting? Yes, you could, but it is not the best option. Okay? All right, so that's going to lead us into magnifications. What magnifications do you need for hunting? Now, I used to be of the mindset that iron sights were best. You don't need all that other gee whiz stuff. Iron sights will never fail. Well, then my eyes got bad and I couldn't see anything for a long distance and I needed an optic. So I started out with a 3x9 and I thought, wow, this is great. I can see really clear out to 100 yards, not a problem. Then as I started shooting more, I'm like, okay, I really want to be able to see my impacts a lot better. So I started looking at higher magnifications. Now I'm of the mindset where I want anywhere between 3 and 16 magnification for my hunting rifles. And I want that for several reasons. One, I do not see very well long distance. Okay, I have to wear glasses. I am nearsighted, I'm not farsighted, so I need to be able to see a little bit better and a little bit clearer long range. So I have those types of magnifications. I also, when I'm looking at something close, don't want to have such a high zoom that I can't see the entire animal that I'm hunting. If you are already cranked on if I'm at 6 magnification to start with on some of these target ones, it is very, very hard to see. Almost, I would say I'm at 50-50 of having 4 or 3 as my low magnification for all of my hunting rifles. All of my hunting rifles that are purposed for hunting and not like a dual use, all start at 3 or 4 magnification and cap out at 16, okay? I have a couple that are 3-9, but for the most part, I've got 3-16 or 4-16 or 4-12. Those are what most of my magnifications are. The reason for that is each one has a purpose for if I'm doing public land hunting where I don't know what all of the ranges are going to be and I may need a little bit higher magnification to identify a target and make sure there's no other hunters. That's something else that we miss, is that sometimes those higher magnification optics will help us see other people so that we're making sure we're safe when we're shooting. Secondary is if I'm at my aunt and uncle's property where I'm hunting out of a tree, I know what those distances are. If I'm hunting at my friend's place that has a blind, I know what all my distances are. If I'm hunting in another friend's place who's got cuts and shooting lanes, I know what those distances are. I don't need to dial a whole bunch of stuff. So I'd make a choice on a different firearm to go to those places because all I need to do is hold center and pull trigger, go boom. If I'm going on a trip to hunt pronghorn, then I'm going to be leaving the area that I know. I'm not going to know what the distances I may be hunting. I could be hunting out to 400 or 500 yards. I want something that's going to have a little bit more magnification and a little bit more options when it comes to dialing than for something that I am hunting out of the same place I've hunted several years and I know what I'm doing. So what does that mean? It means the options that I have on an optic, when I've got something like this where the turrets are capped, so that means I physically have to unscrew these to make adjustments for my windage and elevation, okay? That takes a very long time in a hunting situation. So for something like this, if I'm hunting at known ranges and known places, I don't need anything but this. If I'm going to be hunting somewhere where I don't know all those ranges and I'm going to be using a laser rangefinder and I'm going to be dialing my turrets, I'm going to want something that has the ability to be dialed. So this is an LPVO, but for example, these I can just turn and, ooh, these are stiff. I can just turn these to adjust what I need. Okay, so these are pop up, and then you just turn, pop up, turn, okay, and then you close them down and they stay locked. So for a hunting aspect, I like the pop-up turrets because I can quick dial, drop it down, shoot. When I'm hunting at unknown ranges, I do prefer to have the ability to adjust my reticle. If I am hunting a lot in the morning or I'm hunting a lot in the evening, I like to have illumination because in those low lights, when you're shooting something that's brown in the shadows, when the light's not that great yet, it's very difficult to identify your reticle on that. But if you have illumination, it really brings it out and you can see what you're aiming at. So I prefer that as well. Things I don't like. I don't like something that is huge, okay? You saw on my target scope, on my competition 22, that is big. You do not want something that big while you're hunting. I prefer my optic to be a little bit lighter weight, a little bit more compact, and not this ginormous thing sticking out of everywhere. You've already got the issues of your barrel length, you've got issues of all the other stuff you're carrying. I don't want to add another thing that can get snagged and pulled on as I'm walking through stuff, okay? I may be willing to compromise a little bit more if I'm in a tree stand or a blind that I'm good and set up in, but I don't want to have all that crap that I have to drag with me, okay? So the last thing we're going to talk about is first focal plane and second focal plane. I don't think people understood as much about optics until the PRS and NRL started becoming more and more popular. As people are seeing things like the NRL 22, or you're watching videos of people competing, you see them dialing their turrets and clicking things, and we start looking at first focal plane and second focal plane and seeing which one we need. For a hunter, if all you're doing is hunting at deer camp every year, you do not need first focal plane. It's going to be way more expensive and provide something you don't need. Second focal plane, what that is, it's a reticle that stays the same size no matter what your zoom is, okay? So if you're 1 zoom or 100 zoom, the reticle stays the same size. First focal plane, if you're zoomed all the way out, you're gonna have a little itty bitty tiny reticle, but the more you zoom in, the reticle gets bigger and bigger to give you more information. First focal plane is designed for people that are shooting a longer range. If you're shooting anything within 300 yards, you do not need a first focal plane optic, okay? Just because you saw someone on YouTube has this fancy first focal plane and they talk all these wonderful great things about it, they're probably a competition shooter, they probably compete a lot, and they need something that's going to give them a lot more data when they're shooting. If you are not a competition shooter, if you don't already know what your windage and holdovers are for every caliber you're shooting, a second focal plane is perfect for the intended purposes of hunting. You can get very clear glass, moderate zoom, and be just as effective with hunting as buying a $5,000 optic that has all the bells and whistles that will still kill the deer. So guys, today what I wanted to talk about was the different types of optics, different types of options, my personal opinions, the way that I run things, and maybe inform your decision a little bit when you're searching for that new optic for your hunting rifle. The most important thing in hunting season is making sure that we get that quick, clean kill of the animal by picking the appropriate bullet with the appropriate caliber, with the appropriate shot placement. We can do that with a good rifle, good ammunition, and a good quality optic. So guys, I hope you learned something today. Share with me your personal opinions and your options, maybe what you got on your favorite hunting rifle. Let's have a conversation, and I'll see you guys next time.